guys, Lucas here with another video. This will not be a classic devlog today. I was wondering about my game dev journey and I wanna share it with you. I started making games 20 years ago, and how many games have I released? The answer is 0. Well, technically I released one. It was in 2005 and it was a SimCity-like game, but really bad. You could just build some buildings in empty space and that's it. It was not fun at all. I created it in Game Maker. At the time it was version 6, I think, and everyone was developing building strategies because it was one of the few Game Maker tutorials at the time. But it didn't start with the Game Maker. My first steps were much earlier on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, which used audio tapes, which is absolutely funny today. I still don't understand that games and data could be saved on an audio medium. Anyway, on this archaic machine I played with a language called BASIC, and that was really complicated. No internet, no tutorials, just my 8-year-old self trying to create something. And if it wasn't for my older brother, I probably would never have understood it. Of course, at the time, the idea of making a game was just wishful thinking, but it was a good foundation for the next program I started working in a few years later, which was Flash. In Flash we worked with the ActionScript language, and it didn't seem that difficult when I was dealing with BASIC before. It was around 2003 or 4, the internet started to take off and I was learning HTML while making my first websites. I found out that you can make an entire web in Flash and it was awesome. Then I tried to make my first games, simple top-down shooters and platformers and such, but none of them saw the light of the day. And then it was Game Maker, which I've been playing with for many years. Probably all beginners have made games with default grey bricks, including me. Unfortunately, from the very beginning I imagined that I would make a new Diablo or Fallout. And actually the very first game I've ever wanted to make was a fighting game like Street of Rage. I loved that game. I had ideas about how it would look, about characters and moves, but I was never able to implement them and finish the game. And that sticks with me to this very day. I've created countless projects over the years, but never finished any of them. But why? Today there are many ways, engines and libraries to simplify the process, but that's not really what it's about. Even a person who has never programmed can create a game today. But making a real game, a good game that someone would buy and play it, that's completely different thing. A lot of games are released on Steam every day, but most of them are really crap, and the good ones are not visible at all because of them. And that, I think, it's quite a shame. Previously, every game that wanted to be on Steam had to first fight for its place on Greenlight. They had to approve it first, and only then could the game be released on Steam. Today, all you have to do is pay $100 and the game is available. But what I wanted to say is, making a good game is harder than it looks. Maybe it's me, because I want everything to be perfect. The graphics, the gameplay, the last detail in the game. Everything has to be as I imagine, and that is probably my problem. It's not within the power of one person to make a game that should compete with AAA games. But it's what I really want in my head, and I can't imagine my game not looking as good as it could. And that's probably why my project always ended. There was some problem, for example, the AI was not behaving as I would like to, or I saw somewhere in some other game. And when I wasn't able to program it, I stopped having fun, didn't know how to continue, and rather started creating another game. For the next game, it was the graphics that didn't look the way I wanted. And it's been like this for almost 20 years. I started so many projects and they always failed on some stupid thing. Don't be like me, don't be perfectionist. Even AAA games are not perfect, they have a lot of bugs and graphical glitches, and they are made by hundreds of people, not just one solo game dev. And everyone, including me, should realize that. Don't compare yourself to anyone else, only to your old self or your current project to your previous game. Finally, after all these years, I realized that the saying "start small" is actually true. I always want to make a huge game with a big open world or with 40 hours of gameplay, but it is not possible. Well, maybe someone else can, but not me. Even though I've been trying to make games for 20 years, I never started small. I've always wanted something big. That is the main problem. So if you haven't published any game, really start with something smaller. When you try everything from graphics, game design, sound effects or music, and also the release itself. I've heard this many times before, but I've never followed it, although I've tried. But if you don't want to lose as many years of life as I did, I recommend it, and you can achieve anything. You can make one game, maybe 10 games, but you can do it if you start with a small project that will entertain you and not overwhelm you. The next project will be bigger, and the next one will be bigger and bigger, and then maybe you will make your dream game. Who knows? This video wasn't actually made for you, it was made for me to finally realize where I've been making mistakes all along. That all those years have been wasted because of me and my perfectionism. And maybe some of you are going through this too, and you are doing project after project and none of them are ever finished. Keep it simple, keep it small. That's my advice, and I really want to stick to it from now on. Seeing that I started 20 years ago was a real eye-opener. In this video only a few of my projects were seen, but in reality there were so many of them that they wouldn't even fit into one video. But each one gave me something, each one taught me something, and I'm glad that I experienced it, and now I am 100% sure that I will finally succeed and finish my project. So one more time, keep it simple, keep it small, don't be like me. If you watch my videos, you know I'm working on my Metroidvania project, Shadow Flower. Well, not exactly. The truth is, I barely made something done in previous weeks. The scope of the game is overwhelming for me, but don't worry, I will announce some major changes about the game to make it easier for me to finish it. So stay tuned and see you in the next video. Bye!